Hi to everyone. Today we'll be discussing about Indian poetry, which is part of Indian Writing in English and in Translation, part of PGMA English program, and this is part of Unit 1. So here today the topic would be we'll be discussing uh, Indian English poetry during pre-independence and post-independence. I am Pushpanagini Sripada, Head of the Department of English and Director for Centre for Online Education, Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education Research. Now, in this unit, we will be covering Indian English poetry, like how the themes that Indians have expressed and also the legacies they have acquired under the colonial rule and how they try to maintain their cultural identity. So, if you look at the historical context, this is the poets have written when they have come uh, in touch with the British ideas and British culture, and their way of thinking, etc. But still, we can see the themes of oppression and people trying to express their willingness to be out of the shackles of British rule, etc. So this is there in tandem with the feelings of most of the Indians before independence and even after independence, where people try to find their identity and on the ways and means of dealing with newly acquired freedom. And of course, their expression is in English language. So before we move on to it, so there is a British Romanticism where there's more in tandem with the nature, and there is a lot of positive, and then people have thought that Indians lacked originality because maybe it is not entirely true, and there was a criticism that Indians tried to imitate, but there are critics like Buddhadev Bose who valued the contributions of Toru Dutt and Aurobindo, mostly the way they have expressed spirituality, trying to find oneness with the God based upon their religious beliefs. Now, some of the characteristics I have discussed include romantic influence and also the Indian sensibility. So, here we find that post independence, Indian writers try to move beyond imitation and they try to bring out their unique style and themes. And some of the themes that we include like social, political, economic uh, changes that have been happening at that time. Some of the key poets include Nizam Iskal, A.K. Ramanujam and Kamala Das. We can see Kamala Das poetry expressing the emotional self of women, and Ramanujam having themes of Indianness and also ecology, environmental consciousness, and Nizam Iskal is talking about Indianness and also the influence of English in Indian thinking, etc. So before we proceed, I want to discuss some of the concepts, like some of the themes that include colonialism. So what is colonialism? Indians, we know very well that under the rule of the British from 18 to 1947. So this is British imperialism. They lacked identity because they continue to be ruled by a foreign the Britishers, and they want to do not want to be subjugated by them, and they try to bring out and even maintain their own Indian traditions and not to be influenced by Western thought and ideas. And some of the themes I said already discussed oppression, and then the consequences of British rule in India. Some write like Raja Rao Kantapura. These are the books that they have written. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Anandamath reflect the social and political turmoil that people were undergoing through under the British rule. And we also knew Rabindranath Tagore, Rudyard Kipling. He is an Anglo-Indian writer, and Sarojini Naidu, who also fought for independence. Even Rabindranath Tagore poetry includes both the spirituality and also some of the like "Let My Country Awake" poems, like that, patriotic feelings, etc. And if you see nationalism is a counterforce to the colonialism, especially in the 19th and early 20th century. So while Indians are trying to push the Britishers out of India, like Simon Go Back and Quit India movement, all these are shown in the poetry and also and literature written by Indians. So this is also reflected in the poetry that was written, and some of the key writers include Mukul Raj Anand, Mahatma Gandhi as a political writer, and Jawaharlal Nehru, Discover of India. All these things we can see some of the educated people writing. And then third part is modernism. So when India got independence in 1947, that was called as the modernist period. Though every time we say modernism, but in terms of Indian writing English, after independence, the phase is called modernism, mid 20th century. So 1947 onwards. So Indians were grappling with the themes of the change that has come after the Britishers left the country, and what are the complexities and the themes of unity and diversity. All these aspects one can find in post-colonial society. So some of the psychological aspects, people started reflecting and the changes that need to be brought about, and there is a clash between superstitious beliefs, tradition, and along with the modern life. R.K. Narayanan, Kamala Das, Nizam Iskal, all these concepts of modernity can be found in their writing. And after postmodernism, so the later part of the 20th century and we got into the 21st century, Indian writing came to very much prominent because India has rejected grand narratives of history, colonialism, and then they were looking at different genres and different styles are being experimented by Indians, and these themes include hybrid culture, like you have diasporic writing and environmental writing, eco criticism. All these aspects we can find. So multiculturalism, and then we have Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children, and other writers include Arundhati Roy, Vikram Seth, Amitav Ghosh. All these writers are some of the literature that we come across. So all these aspects will be discussed now in my presentation. So before we proceed further, I thought we need to come in understand what is pre-independence, post-independence, modernism, later part of modernism. These themes and the periods that I have discussed include those. So now if you look at Indian poetry in especially, so we have Derosio's influence, who is a patriotic, romantic influences and also has patriotic fever. Like you have Kashi Prasad Ghosh, Shashi Dutt, and Michael Mansudan Dutt. All these poets are highly influential, and one reads Toru Dutt poetry, she brings out the cultural sensibility that is found. And Aurobindo Ghosh, of course, is a philosophical poet with trying to bring out reformation in our country. We'll read some of their poems in the notes that I have given. Some pieces of poetry are given example. And from Goa you have Joseph Furtado and Sarojini Naidu, who writes for Indian soldiers and landscapes, and all these emotional poetry is also found in some of the women who have written. So some examples of the themes, modernist trends include this. So we know that modernist is post-independence. Kamala Das, R.K. Ramanujan, who is from Tamil Nadu, he looks at Indian heritage and the global influences, and Parthasarathi. So mostly like philosophical inward journey and cultural, criticizing the cultural aspects which one has to come, and grappling with modernism, and there is a clash between modernism and tradition, as I have already discussed in this poetry too. And some of the contemporary poets include P. Lal, and then Dom Moraz, and then Adil, and then they have discussed, as I've already discussed, that some of the themes of modernity. So they are interculturalism. They are trying to trying to experiment with various genres of writing, trying to overcome the influence of English writings, etc. So Indians trying to find their own, establish their own identity at this time. And then these are some of the legacies of Dorosio's influence, which are nothing but romantic ideas and all that. So some of the key figures of this age, of this period include, this is pre-independence. So Kashipad Ghosh, the Sher and other poems. These are past to present, pre-independence poetry. Examples can be given here. And then as we come to the conclusion, from early romantic imitations to previously Indians were imitating the British writings. Now they have come to modern landscape. So some of the important notable characteristics of Indian poetry include traditional Indian elements with contemporary global influences. So this can be your assignment. You can write or discuss all this looking at your notes that is given, plus the PowerPoint. More research can be done. The development, theme and key figures in Indian English poetry. This can be discussed. Thank you very much.